Alright everybody, so you're going to notice something a bit different. My head is now not in front of the code. Great job. My bad. I didn't really notice. I guess I definitely should have. I didn't notice that my head was in front of it. After I had recorded it, I put it up. I actually watched it. I had edited it, but I just trimmed the edges, the video. I threw it up, and then I looked back and my head was in the way. My apologies. From now on, my head will be out of the way of the camera, or out of the way of the code. So this time we're going to look at making a game loop. We actually did this in the stream that I did yesterday. So you can tune into that if you'd want to. Otherwise, just continue on with this video, and I'm going to show you Autoclickers, game loop, excuse me. And then after these, I think we'll probably go into unlocking types and how you reveal that stuff. And then, I don't know, we'll kind of see where it goes from there. I know there's a lot of technologies and specific people want to check out, so we'll probably focus on some of those. Okay, so to start off, to make a game loop, I'm going to comment that I want to make a game loop. So it's very important, remember to comment. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put window, and so window is addressing the entire game window, more or less, or the entire browser window. My apologies. It's the whole browser window that it's focusing on. We're going to set an interval. Now that interval means we're going to set a game tick, right? So game has a tick in it, or a timer. So let's say every second is one tick, or every 10 milliseconds is a tick, or every 1 second is a tick, anything like that. So you decide how when the game actions take place. So each tick, the game, your engine, runs something. So that's basically what the interval we're setting is how often it does that and what is it actually doing. So in set interval, we're going to put 2 parentheses, the arrows, and then the brackets. Now again, this is just a function. That's all this is. So this is we're telling the computer that it needs to functionally do something. And then you put a comma after the bracket, and then you put a number. So 1000 is 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So we come in here, and then we're going to say, well, what do we want it to actually do? Right now, not really anything, but for the purposes of this video, let's just have it do the same thing as the wood button does, except this time it's doing it on its own, right? I'm not manipulating it at all. This is now going to run on its own every second. It's going to increase the amount of wood by 1, and then the next line it's going to update it. So let's pop this open. Let's look under the hood, if you will, and we'll check out if this works. So there you go. And let me just resize that. Okay, perfect. So now we can see it updates on its own, like an auto clicker would. And on top of that, when I click up, number increments up. We did it, but not really. Let's have the auto clicker actually work. So to get it to work, a couple things need to happen. First off, we're going to need to add a button. Let's call it auto clicker. And I did this in the live stream, and I know that this might not be the best way to display price. For now, we're just going to display it like this. So let's say it costs 5 wood to get an auto clicker. We'll say auto button, and then, or we'll say auto chopper. Let's make it a little more interesting. So auto button is what the ID is going to be. Now we pop over here, and we can just copy wood button, change the name. So we're going to change the variable name, and we're going to change the ID. So those are the only 2 things you need to change. The way we grab these is the same. So we need the const, we need the document.querySelector, need the hashtag because it's an ID. Only things we have to change is our JavaScript name and the HTML reference name. That's it. So that's just creating a link to this button right here. All right, after this, we're going to come on down to here. And let's see. I guess let's make the button work. So I'm just going to copy this. A lot of copying. Let's comment that we're doing auto clicker purchase button. So we're going to say we need to make a new variable, right? We need a game variable to store how many auto clickers we have. So start at 0. So when they click the auto button, we'll have auto go up by 1. And then we don't need this wood heading to really happen here. So let's see what we got. So every second we'll have wood plus equal auto. So to break this plus equals down, because I'm not sure if I did before, I'm just going to do it one more time. Wood plus equals auto is the same thing as saying wood equals wood plus auto. Oh, not authenticated response. Wood plus auto. So it's basically saying it's what the original was plus whatever auto is. And it's doing that every second. So if the original was 5, it's going to be 5 plus 1, basically. So that's it. If we click this button, we'll get an auto clicker, and then it should automate per second. So let's check that out. Right now, nothing's happening. Click this a couple times. I click this, and you see we start to get the increment up. And then if I click a bunch of times, we're getting a lot of increments up per second. There you go. A couple things you might notice. It doesn't subtract the 5 wood. It doesn't prevent us from getting it if we don't have 5 wood. And that's basically it. Those are the two main things it doesn't do. So let's mess around with that. We need to check if the person has 5 wood. So we're going to say if wood is less than, or sorry, greater than or equal to 5, so that they have at least 5. That's what the greater than or equal to is. So greater than 5, like if wood was 6, that works, and the equal then is just saying that can be 5 as well. So 5 or anything more. Now, how this if statement works is this is what we call like a logical operator in programming. The if is checking if something's happening. So if that's true, so if the person does have 6 wood, let's say, then we're going to do what's ever between the curly brackets. That's the main thing here. So in this case, we're going to allow them to get an auto clicker. And we're going to have wood minus equal 5. That's just about the whole thing. So that's it, really. I'm not going to do an else. There's like if else, so if is true, else is false. We'll go over that later. We're not going to deal with that right now. We need to do a little bit of maintenance first before we check this out. We're going to make a function. And functions work similarly to how variables work in the new version of JavaScript, which is ES6. So they're somewhat similar to a degree. Basically, we do const, or you can do let optionally as well. But we'll do const in this example. We'll say update UI. So what this function is going to do is it's going to update our UI for us. Put an equals, 2 parentheses, and those are for your parameters. It's good to hear the word. You don't have to know what it means right now. So you write it out like that. That's the format or the syntax for every function. Once you have this update UI, let's see what we can do in here. Const update UI. You'll be able to. All right, let's take this wood heading.innerHTML that we have inside of our event listener. This is the only one we're going to actually need, so just grab that out. You can cut it, paste it like that, and you can get rid of the one inside of wood set interval. And we actually only need this in one place. So we're going to make another window.setInterval. Let's say this runs every 20 milliseconds. And this one is going to run our update UI. So what happens is I'm doing what's called a function call. So we're calling the function update UI. What that means when we call the function is all you have to do is write the name, put these parentheses, and put the semicolon at the end. What we're saying is every 20 milliseconds that the window is open, run this function. So that's going to come up here. It's going to come to update UI. It's going to say, okay, what do I do in here? It's going to go, all right, take wood heading. So take this wood heading right here, and then update the inner HTML with the wood and the amount of wood that we have. That's it. The clickers, they all operate on their own, independent. They just wait for a click, and then they run. And then this first set interval, what this one does is this just checks basically like if there's an auto clicker, and it runs every second that there is one on it. So it'll add that on if there is one. Because if there's not, it's +0, and that's not going to do anything for anybody. So now, if I click the Auto Chopper button, nothing happens. So we click our chop tree up, auto clicker, it decreases 5, and then starts to tick up 1. Wonderful. So now the thing we need to add to this is we want to know how many choppers we have, right? Like, we don't just want to have the wood show up. So let's say choppers. We probably didn't have to call it auto chopper. We could just call it like woodcutter or something, but here we are. Call this chop heading. And then same thing as before, we need to link it first. I recommend that you always link first just so that you have that set in stone. So we have chop heading. And there you go. So then we will be able to, I guess first we gotta actually have it link up so that it shows the chopper amount. This is pretty easy. We just go into our update UI function. That's going to update every 20 milliseconds. And we put chop heading, I believe is what I called it. Did I? Yeah, chop heading. I think I wrote choppers. Yeah, that's the one. And then we have a problem. Alright, chop heading. There's the issue. Wood is the variable that we're updating every second. We want to update auto. I should really name these a little better. Let me call it choppers, just so we have like a uniform thing. So we got to change it everywhere that auto was. Let's scan. Auto's here. Choppers. And then choppers. So just go through. I did that kind of fast. If you need to pause the video and look where I changed those, I changed it right here in the set interval, changed it here in the auto button event listener, and I changed it in the update UI function. And I changed it in the game variables, so make sure you get all those. And I'll throw the code up on a GitHub, so then you can go through the code when the series is done, and you'll be able to kind of like go back and see if there's any issues that you might have run into. So we have our wood click up. When you get an auto clicker, now it shows up. So it displays how many it is, or how many you own, and then you still can't buy them if you don't have enough wood. So our system pretty much works the way it was intended to. That's really it. So that's, and you can see that every second now, it's updating to that, like it's updating by 21, so it's increasing by 21 every second, and that's because the chopper button right here is happening every second, and it updates the text every 20 milliseconds, but it updates the value every second. That's why there's a little disparity there. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.